I'm trying to think how many hours ago it was when I stood up here, whatever, 11:30 this morning, and I started with why? Why bother? Why am I here? Why are you here? Because unless we answer why, then actually it's just been a great event. Go home, let's just keep doing what we've always done. But actually, I think we've all come for a reason. They might all be different, but at the end of the day, for me, the why was always about, as an organisation, we're trying to deal with the climate emergency. We're trying to create sustainable communities for today and tomorrow. And actually, there's a real challenge to that, because everything that we've ever learned and ever built and ever created, from whenever Adam and Eve arrived to where we are now, is irrelevant going forward in many ways, because we just don't know what it's going to look like and feel like when the planet heats up, the weather changes, and the climate impacts start to affect everybody. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it already, and we talked about that briefly this morning. And yet in this room, we talked about infrastructure. And the infrastructure that we're building today will be here in decades. So therefore, are we making sure that infrastructure, and whether that's the technology or the roads or the rails, the communication systems, the materials, is it resilient for the future that's going to be coming our way? Or are we going to be digging it all up? And can we afford to take months and years and whatever else to work out what that solution looks like? Or what a better way? And the only thing we haven't talked about today was the pandemic, and how the world changed in weeks, and how technology leaped. You know, we talked there about, is it people or is it technology that will leapfrog? Which one's going to come first? And when you think about the last few years and all the tragedy, but all the consequence in terms of how the world moved rapidly to a different place, and we're still learning and living from that. So what would that look like for our industry? And how would we create something that had that level of urgency and importance that we all decided to make a change? Politically, all you'll hear about is economic growth. And I'm not a politician. But if I said, you know, yes, fine, simplify regulations, speed up planning process, take out bureaucracy where it's not needed, let's just make sure it's proportionate. But we've also got numerous clients, public bodies, led by people like me, that are doing the same things in different parts of the country, trying to solve the same problems, spending everybody's money, but doing it in multiple ways and not being joined up. And actually, why don't we just take some responsibility and say, well, yeah, we're spending your money in a way that actually isn't efficient. It isn't productive. So maybe we should join up. Which is why we've brought you on a journey through i3P. So today you've heard about all the doom and gloom and why we arrived at what we did. But actually it was a purpose, it was a reason, there was a motivation there. And over the last 10 years, we've created something really special. And it's got longevity, and it's got longevity because it's the right thing to do. I always said if i3P didn't exist, I'd create it. Because it's the right thing to do to get people in a room who have common problems and therefore can try and work together to arrive at common solutions. And that does include all our delivery partners, large and small SMEs, the specialists, because whatever we do has to have the market engaged, got to be attractive. And yet, even now, we all sit in our rooms and we come up with separate standards. We have different requirements. We confuse the market. Yeah, short term, that might generate even more businesses and more opportunity. But long term, crazy. And over here, we've had 3,000 people through these doors, 3,000 innovators, 3,000 people curious and wanting to learn about how do they get engaged. So we come back to i3P. We're a group of clients, we're a group of members, we're a group of contractors, consultants, specialists. We're a group of people who are trying to collaborate and change this industry for the better. We're trying to take all the innovation that sits in every one of your offices and take a few bits of it and adopt it at scale. Because there is no shortage of great ideas. There's a huge shortage of adopters. And that's where we all come in. And we need to sit in a room and be equal and work together. And we need to recognize that risk and reward has to be talked about. Because when we put low carbon concrete in, are we going to leave the liability on the designer and say, well, if it falls down in 20 years, you fix it? Well, actually, maybe this is where the clients step in and say, to transform this industry, we'll hold the risk. We'll take on the long-term liabilities. Because without it, no one's going to step forward. So I come back to i3P, because that's what i3P is about. Let's have those conversations in a safe space and talk as equals about how do we improve this industry for the benefits of the communities that we live and work within. So my one question to you as I close is, at the beginning it was, have you heard of i3P? I hope by now you have. But will you come and work with us? Will you come and join us? And if you want to, please get in touch. And there is a Slido poll, so put some details there, but also you'll see us on LinkedIn and everywhere else. Get in touch. We can't afford to waste time. And somebody said there was one thing today that came out. There were lots of good things that came out today, but there was one thing that struck when somebody asked, what's the biggest lesson? And the answer was, don't go it alone. Thank you very much.